So guys, I'm here at the Amtrak station in Philadelphia, and I'm waiting for my Amtrak back to Connecticut. I was just at the Liacourus Center, and what I want to say is that tonight, it was a really, really good show for AEW Collision. You know, definitely I'm doing a road trip on AEW, and I will say that, yes, I paid like around $110, I believe, so it was worth the price. I'm a little upset with the build of Full Gear. They really didn't announce that many matches, but you kind of know where they're going. And there's also some matches that they should create. I think they should have Shady Taylor Promotions versus the Undisputed Kingdom. I really want to see Action Andretti versus Pac. I want to see Mariah May versus Mina Shirakawa. And I also will say that one of the other, one big downside with the show tonight was Ring of Honor, because once again, you don't know who the fuck these people are. The only person that you know was Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. I actually walked out at the end of it, but it's almost like it gets to a point where it's if you want Ring of Honor to be a television show, if you want ratings, we gotta know who the fuck these people are. These people need to get on the fucking microphone and fucking talk and give us a storyline. What do they want to achieve? What titles do they want? Who do they want to feud with? How do they want to get things? It's otherwise it's almost like you're playing a poor man's Marvel versus Capcom or Street Fighter. It's who's who and all that, really. So that was the low point of tonight. I will also say I was very, very entertained by the show. And, overall, it was a really great experience. So I automatically give the show a B+. So what happened tonight was that it started with Private Party and all the tag teams. So all the tag teams were celebrating with Private Party, and they were all really happy for them. And there were some heel tag teams. So I was, both Isaiah and the other guy, they both came out, they talked a little bit, they put themselves over, so that's good. But I hope on television they have graphics showing what their names are, because still some people don't know who their names are as well, really. So I think that there's two things you can do with them. Like I said, you can have Brian Cage and Lance Archer beat them, and you can have them lose the titles and then have to rebuild themselves, or you kind of give them a title reign and have them in very premier spots, really. And definitely at AEW Grand Slam, they can have another rematch with the Young Bucks, or they can actually, just face Takeshita and another member of the Don Callis family, or Lance Archer and Brian Cage. Maybe with Takeshita, he's more athletic. So if we do Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher versus Lance Archer versus a Private Party, that would be a better match because they both have the same body types. If you have Lance Archer and Brian Cage, you run into that issue of the big man losing to a small man type of thing, or if you want to book big man strong. So I'm very interested to see what Private Party can do. They really care about it. I'm happy to see the Outrunners get on the microphone and talk a bit, because they need to start talking. They need to start talking about their goals. They need to act like that they want to be tag team champions. They need to just show some drive and we're there for titles, because that's the only reason to be in AEW or any other company, is to win titles. So then it opens with a match. So it was the Day of the Dead match between Mariah May and Thunder Rosa. So there was a lot of really crazy spots. There were a lot of these paintings, Day of the Dead paintings that Mariah May was thrown into. And at the very end, it was really cool because what Thunder Rosa did, it was actually Harley Cameron. So what happened was that Thunder Rosa threw Harley Cameron into a bunch of different paintings, and they also did a bunch of table spots and candy spots and garbage can spots. And then at the very end, it was really cool what Thunder Rosa did. She kind of set up a table and made it look like a rampway, and then she ran over it and did a coast to coast on Harley Cameron and gets the pinfall. So it was a really good match, but one big problem with tonight was also that it was very predictable. You kind of knew who was going to win. So the next match was the best match of the night. It was Kyle Fletcher versus Commander. And what I would have to say is that Kyle Fletcher is just like MJF. He is an excellent professional wrestler because he understands that whenever you wrestle a match, you have to pick the right style. So he was a brawler, and he was whipping Commander's ass a bunch of times. I think that the only problem with Kyle Fletcher is that he has to understand, if he is a heel and he's trying to antagonize the crowd, pick the right character to play, because he was joking around a little bit. He was kind of smiling, and he was almost like Chris Jericho a little bit, where he was having a little fun being a professional wrestler, and you can't do that. If you're going to be a jerk character, be a jerk character throughout it. I felt he was having too much fun. And then I was a little worried with this match because Commander got a lot of offense. There's a lot of high flyer spots, really. So the good news is that it does kind of, when you have that rematch with Fletcher and Will Ospreay, it's going to be a way stronger match, because obviously the matches like this foreshadow that, when they have a face down at Full Gear, I'm predicting it's going to be Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher too. I really, really think that 100% it's going to be very similar to the style. So you're kind of foreshadowing what their match is going to be like based on the things that you're seeing. But the big problem is that Commander loses a lot. So it's almost like he went Super Saiyan during this match. Like, he ultimately got, it felt very 50-50 when it shouldn't have been 50-50. And then again, the problem is that when you have a wrestler like Commander do all the athletic shit in a match, he should be, not be giving that much of a good performance. You making Kyle Fletcher look stronger, make him look as a good brawler wrestler. You really, really have to not allow Commander to do that. I really, really think that if you had if you really had Kyle Fletcher versus Sammy Guevara, that would have been a match where stuff like that could have happened, where there could have been a little bit more leeway. You would have had to pick a babyface that could job, but also a babyface that would have been 50-50, like somebody who's actually held some titles or something like that, really. But you don't take a person like Commander who's lost a lot and then you kind of make him Super Saiyan. That doesn't work. There was a match between Lance Archer and Brian Cage versus two jobbers. Really great match, great squash match. That's what you need to do. Lio Rush versus one of the premier athletes. Again, I think the premier athletes need to be fired. They're not drawing anything. Why do they exist? And it's the same stupid joke with them. So, it's one of those things where it's like, Tony really needs to not sign them again. He really needs to be like, okay, what's this? Is it making me money? Are you guys selling merchandise? If it's not working, then he needs to get rid of them. It's a waste of time, really. And we also had a surprise match. It was actually Pac versus Action Andretti. So, once again, Moxley comes down. He gives his promo. I'm actually very proud of Moxley tonight, because in his promo, he was making some fucking sense. He was not doing something like, speaking like he is a bastardized Bray Wyatt. You understood what he was saying. He was putting Wheeler Yuta over, and that was that, really. Action Andretti got a beat down by Pac. They had a match. Action Andretti lasted a while in that match, and that was okay for two reasons. Number one, Action Andretti got attention for actually pitting Chris Jericho on his first night, really. So when you have a person like Action Andretti when you have Pac struggle a little bit against Action Andretti, that's okay, because you establish that there's something about this guy. So that works, really. But so, like I've said, Action Andretti versus Pac at Full Gear. If you want to build a new star, that would be the match to have. Shane Taylor versus Roderick Strong. So this was a really good match. Roderick Strong was able to lift and throw Shane Taylor around, and that was a really good look, really. And it went for a while, really. So it didn't feel like Shane Taylor jobbing to a big man. It didn't feel like, it didn't feel like Roderick Strong jobbing a big man. It was good that they kind of went back and forth a little bit. I actually think another great match they have to do at Full Gear is Shane Taylor Promotions versus Undisputed Kingdom. And the reason why I have to do that is because, it seems like they're building the trios tag team. It looks like they're separating tag team and the trios division. So you need more trios teams. So you need to have the Undisputed Kingdom be after the trios titles, and you actually need to have Shane Taylor Promotions be a legitimate threat, really. So I think that if you do that on the dark match, that would be, something to happen, really. And I'm going to actually talk to Tony Khan. I'm going to send him a message on Twitter about some of the matches that they should have at Full Gear to build some new people, like the right way. And the next thing that I will say is that one of the things I've kind of criticized AEW for is very poor build to pay-per-views. They've actually been getting better and better over time. Like, you actually see wrestlers who actually are talking about pay-per-views. You see matches being created. You see hints of matches. There's a hint that's going to be Daniel Garcia versus Jack Perry. There's a hint that it's going to be Mina Shirakawa versus Mariah May, really, and Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné. So I do see a bunch of foreshadowing of matches, even though they've not been announced, really. So I would kind of say that I'm happy with that. But I'm also happy with Orange Cassidy, because this is like the first time he ever spoke. And I did not think he said anything that was funny. He was not trying to be funny. But I do think that, there has to be, something where all the Team AEW comes down with Orange Cassidy and they beat down the Moxley faction or something like that, really. Like, I think that was kind of lacking tonight. But there has to be Orange Cassidy getting serious and violent and hitting Moxley before the show, because I think that would really rev up the crowd a lot. So they should go in that direction, really. Or you should have it be a hardcore match, and you should have Orange Cassidy, get the upper hand a little bit, and just to show a new dynamic of him, So I'm proud of Orange Cassidy tonight for not being Mr. Funny Man. The main event of tonight was actually Mariah May versus Anna Jay. Really great match. They did a bunch of submissions for a while. Really great offense between the two. It's good that they're having women main event the show. They don't usually do that much. And they're also building a lot of women's matches. So, a lot of people have been criticizing the usage of the women's division, but there's definitely been improvement. So I'm happy with this. I also felt that the pinfall felt very anticlimactic. I thought there would be a little bit more to it, but Mariah May pins Anna Jay, which I feel is the right move, because you have to get to Mariah May versus Mina Shirakawa, and you have to get past that, really. And then at World's End, you can do Toni Storm versus Mariah May one last time, and that is that, really. And then you have to build up, new people. I would say Will Nightingale versus Mariah May is where they have to go for Grand Slam in Australia. And then I would also kind of say, too, that, I stayed for Ring of Honor, and I left after the first match, which was Sammy Guevara versus somebody, but there was Dustin Rhodes. So there's people chanting Goldust, there's people chanting, Seven, Sammy, Black Rain, other things, because Dustin was there, really. So after that, I just retired, really, So I left because there wasn't anything good for me to see, really, because if you watch Ring of Honor, they really don't do a good job, in my opinion, or even at the live events, just people talking about, what's going on, really. It seems like the Righteous are after Sammy and Dustin, but they did a very poor job. You kind of heard some audio of the Righteous, but they could have set that up way, way better. They did that very, very failingly. But overall, the show was really, really good.